All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Blend Show with me, Reed Dailey. This is the week of February 12th, 2024, and if you are new around here, the weekly rundown is where I feature things that I thought were interesting and notable across business, tech, and pop culture. Feature special projects that I am working on, collaborations, or sort of groups or activities that I'm directly involved with, own, etc. Before I jump into the show, I want to remind you we are on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and of course, now YouTube Podcasts. You can also check us out at Daily Blend on Instagram and X. And of course, you can find me at Reed Dailey on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. I'm probably most active on LinkedIn and Instagram. And with all that said, let's jump into the show. So last week, we sort of covered the fact that we're going to be running through the Whistler's drink book. I've got it actually right in front of me. It's a fantastic little blue book that has a slew of recipes. I can't remember the exact amount. I think we actually had this debate last week. But I'm going to go through, some of the drinks in the Whistler Cocktail Recipes book and, pick out some gems, things that sort of align to how I'm feeling, what the weather's like, and, of course, what we're doing over on the Drinks with Greg, or Drink with Greg and Negronis with Greg podcast and website. So for the first drink feature from the Whistler Cocktail Recipe book, I am going to be featuring the Red Diamond, which is cognac, mezcal, hibiscus syrup, lemon juice, lemon, lime, and absinthe. I've actually never had cognac, or I can't remember it. And so I'm kind of interested. Do you see what it tastes like? If you are a cognac drinker, do I need to drink Hennessy, Moet, Shannon Sharp's version? I don't even remember what it's called. Let me know. I am a newbie in terms of understanding that delicious beverage of choice. In terms of, the Drink with Greg and I are trying to meet later this week to game plan sort of our 2024 content strategy. So be on the lookout for more fantastic content from drinkwithgreg.com, as well as the Drink with Greg podcast, and of course, everyone's favorite Negronis with Greg podcast. In terms of Daily Blend, let's just talk about some music stuff. So last week we kicked off, or 2 weeks ago, we kicked off the Tiesto In Search of Sunrise series for our Throwback Thursdays. So we featured episode number 1 or mix number 1 last week. And so, as you would assume, we're going to feature mix number 2 this week. And what I'm going to do is in the post, I'm going to kind of highlight some of my favorite tracks. And then, of course, at the end of showcasing all of his mixes in the series, I might actually try to pick out some of my favorite tracks and put together a mix for that. It will be, that's actually a fantastic idea. I like that idea. I just thought of that. What will be really cool is, that series spanned, 10 years. I'm making up that number, but that's what it feels like. And his taste went from sort of trance to, I will call it deep house, big room. And so it will be really interesting to see like BPMs of some of those tracks. I don't know if I'm going to do sort of the original tracks that were on the mix or maybe some remixes of those tracks and kind of figure it out. But yeah, that actually will be a fun way. Maybe that will be like episode 160 of the Daily Blend podcast. I got to get 150 out the door this week. I am promising myself that it will be done since we actually put out the Sunday sessions from February last week. In terms of Music Mondays, we are featuring Chet Faker. He's been a longtime favorite of mine. I love what he's done with both of his projects, the Chet Faker project, which is not his real name, and then he went to start delivering music under his real name, which is it's Nick something. I can't remember. and I think it just wasn't as popular. So he went back to Chet Faker. And so I don't know if he's releasing under Chet Faker or his real name, but regardless, definitely a ton of lo-fi sounding stuff from him, both in terms of original production, remixes, as well as his DJ sets. This, of course, or not of course, but this on the Music Monday, we featured a DJ set of his, and I'm pretty excited about it. In terms of stuff going in and around Chicago, I was on the road last week in Boston, and I'll be down in Chicago this week a couple times. I'm looking forward to attending the kickoff of the Chicago Fire season. There's some press release about their new jersey. I am assuming, based on the fact that they flashed on Instagram a Pantone color of basically red, that they're going to re-release a red jersey. It makes sense, since that seems to be the color everyone associates with the Chicago Fire. It'll be interesting to hear DeMarcus Beasley do sort of the MC of the night. DeMarcus was on the Chicago Fire as well as the U.S. national team, and I'm pretty sure if there is a Hall of Fame, he's probably in it. And I've never met the guy, so it'll be interesting to hear just kind of his point of view and hear him MC the night. I am very excited to see the new jersey. Let's just assume it's red. I'm hoping they'll do a long sleeve version, since I love wearing soccer jerseys as long as they're long sleeve. So please, Chicago Fire, do a long sleeve jersey. In terms of other things going in and around Chicago, I've got a Instagram account called Coffee, Cocktails, and Kicks, and it's basically just coffee shops, cocktail recipes that I like, and kicks that I'm wearing. And it's just a whole lot of fun. It's not like a huge lift or anything like that. But one of the big things that I wanted to do in this year is not only showcase, but actually go and check out all these fantastic coffee shops in and around Chicago that I love and or I've read about. So expect to see way more coffee shops on that Instagram account, and then I will be adding that into the adventures section of the dailyblend.com website. I think the first one I'm going to go check out is either one of the ones in the Huxton or the guys that what's their they're right across from Willis Tower. It's not Starbucks. They've got like 8 or 9 different locations, and they own Larry's. I can't think of it, but they own Heritage. Yeah, I want to go over to the new Heritage location on Wacker. I haven't checked that out yet. So folks that own Heritage, I know you listen to this podcast. DM me so I can figure out when you guys are actually going to be in that location and go check it out. In terms of stuff just kind of that I'm interested in, there's no like rhyme or reason. I follow and have followed Bobby Hundreds for the better part of, 15 years. If you're less familiar with the Hundreds, Ben and Bobby were the founders. They have real last names, but they go by Ben and Bobby Hundreds, which I always thought was just ingenious branding. And Bobby's been just a great curator of cool, narrator of the scene, both in terms of LA as well as sort of street culture. And it was because of him that I got introduced to Scott Conn. That's James Caan's son. Scott's obviously an actor as well. He's on shows like Oceans 11, 12, and 13, or I guess those are movies. And then I think he's on like Hawaiian 5-0. But Scott's been a photographer thanks to James Caan and what is the guy that directed Mario Puzo? No, he wrote the Francis Ford Coppola, who directed The Godfather, gave him a camera on his first or second birthday. And ever since, his dad's been giving him cameras every year on his birthday. I bought his first photography book I think it was called Scott Conn Photography Volume 1. There was no Volume 2. Scott, where's my Volume 2? And then I bought his second book, which was Vanity, and the cover of that is a picture shooting down on the cast of Ocean's 11 from Cannes Film Festival. And I thought the Volume 1 was super gritty, super cool. I've always been a big fan of it. In fact, now that I'm kind of talking about it, I've got it on my bookshelf. I'm going to pull it down and look at it tonight. But the reason I'm talking about all these books is Bobby Hundreds put out a book called This Is Not a T-Shirt, which was kind of like a autobiography of the Hundreds and his life. And then he did This Is Not an NFT. I haven't read that book, but he's got a new book, which is a photography book, coming out, and I'm pretty excited about that. Bobby, like I said, has been a great storyteller. The book is called Noun, and the quote that I saw in the press release about Bobby is, as a storyteller, our pictures were paragraphs, thoughtful and compassionate. And I just thought that was a really cool quote from the expert on him and this book. So looking forward to seeing this picture book and checking it out. All these books are available on Amazon. I'll put affiliate links to those. If you like them, just give me some points on the deal, I guess, if you call it that. In terms of what else is going on, we've got some new, music on the site. We talked about that. Oh, I knew what I want to talk about was just some sports. Obviously, we had the Super Bowl over the weekend. Huge for me as someone who loves, DJ culture. To see, Cascade get to DJ the first ever Super Bowl for first time a DJ has DJ'd the Super Bowl. Really kind of cool. I almost worked for Cascade by way of Stephanie LaFerre. I don't know, 20 years ago. I was going to be her, admin or assistant, and I was going to work directly with Cascade, and it was just right when he was coming out with his Suit and Tie remix of Justin Timberlake. So pretty cool to see how far that guy's come, and they did a nice job of showcasing him. Other things that I thought were really cool over the weekend was the fact that you had, the PJ Golf event, which was over at the Waste Management. So down in Arizona, you had Live Golf in Las Vegas. You had obviously the Super Bowl all in that same area. That was a pretty big sporting event. St. John's was up in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee more specifically, to play Marquette. We were up by like 15. I brought my daughter to the game. We had fantastic seats. I think I finally has talked her into not sitting in the nosebleeds. And I think I was one of 3 people who I saw wearing St. John's gear, my daughter and I included. So that was a great bit of fun for me to share that with my daughter. And if you've never been to the Fiserv Forum, I highly recommend it. If it's between going to the United Center and the Fiserv, I'm going Fiserv every time. Easier for me to drive to, park, better food. The list goes on and on. I hope that in the next, 10 years, they, torpedo the United Center and build something brand new adjacent to it. Last thing I want to talk about from a sports perspective is the Olympics. The World Cup is sort of trickling in some information. There's a crazy amount of games, but the big news for me is that whoever's going to be, or if the U.S. qualifies, those groups will play in L.A., Seattle, and L.A. There is going to be a semifinal down in my old hometown, Atlanta. What a fantastic arena to watch a soccer game. I went there last season to see Messi in an MLS game, although he didn't show up, but I did. And I can't believe of all the stadiums, they're going to have the finals in the Meadowlands instead of SoFi Stadium or Jerry World. It's just, that feels stupid, but that's just my opinion. And, it is what it is. In terms of other things going in or that I'm sort of getting interested in, this new golf brand, well, it's not new, but newer golf brand, Melbourne, is really catching my eye. Any company that does a new era collab from a hats perspective is going to catch my attention. Guys, $65 though for the hat, plus another $20 for tax and shipping's $80. Come on, like hit a guy with a discount code, get it under $50. But that's a little bit of haterade there, but all the gear is fantastic. I can't wait to see if Tiger Woods actually releases or announces the official Sunday Reds new golf brand this week. It was actually supposed to be today, so I've been hitting refresh on X and his website, hopefully to see that. And this show was a little more freestyled, and by that I mean, I usually put an outline together in Microsoft, or not Microsoft, Apple Notes, and then transpose that to Squarespace, or I just go directly to Squarespace with links and details. And that sucks up a lot of time, to be frank. And instead, I sort of just grabbed my journal and sort of put together some topics that I was really keen on and tried to sort of triangulate those. So let me know what you thought, if you like a little more freestyle flowing or if you liked it way more structuring. And with that said, I am looking to connect with Chicago brands, North Shore brands, entrepreneurs, anyone that's doing fantastic things either as a solo entrepreneur or small business that really wants to amplify their brand, showcase how fantastic and cool things are going for them. Hit me up at info@daileyblend. DM me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram. I would love to showcase you on our Sound Off segment of this show, and really also just connect with good people doing really cool stuff. With that said, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to us on your favorite social media platforms. We are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube podcasts. And don't forget to head over to daileyblend.com to take a look at the show notes from this episode. Also, make sure that you sign up for the Friday Top 5 newsletter, the best newsletter you get all week, full stop. And with that said, wish me luck and my team luck as we go on to one of our last scheduled games of the season. Well, I guess we have a couple of makeups, but we only have a few games left in the regular season of paddle, and we're on the fence to make the playoffs. So wish me luck, and I'll talk to everyone later in the week. Thanks for tuning in.